Thank you for watching Conscious Consumer Network. The live stream broadcast is free to view. You can pause and rewind live broadcasts to catch up, or view shows at a later date by accessing our free archives of all shows. Check out our broadcast guide to see what's on. You can show your support by donating to our network support fund. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, or subscribe to the monthly newsletter for updates. We thank you for supporting free and independent media.
Good evening, good afternoon, wherever you may be in the world. My name is Mel V, coming to you live from Conscious Consumer Network here in Portugal. It is great to be with you this evening and afternoon, and I just wanted to say that it has been an interesting few weeks here, lots going on. So we're going to share what we have to share with you on this evening slot, which is our scheduled program, Stop South African Genocide. This afternoon, I am joined by my co-host, Karin Smith, and regular guest, Leigh Oxley. And these two lovely ladies are absolute warriors and sisters in this common cause of bringing awareness to what is happening to our people in South Africa. So I just want to say hello to you both. Hello, Karin. How are you doing?
Hi, Mel. Not quite so hot today, so I'm not melting today. I'm feeling a lot better.
Good, good. Hi, Leigh. How are you doing? Leigh, how are you doing?
We've lost her.
Oh, I think we've lost her. Yeah, just a reminder that
little bit chilly over here, but we're doing okay.
Brilliant. Yeah, just a reminder to everybody, Leigh is actually based in South Africa. Karin is in Texas. So internet that comes out of South Africa can sometimes be dodgy. So Leigh might take a bit of time to respond or come in and out. But we're so grateful to have you with us, Leigh. And obviously, I know that both of you have had some interesting things going on. So I think, first off, I'm going to ask Karin to do a bit of an update on things that have been going on and let us know what is happening in her world.
Well, Mel, it's been an absolute roller coaster the last week or two. Things in South Africa are shocking. I mean, this whole state capture thing. We are going to have a guest on who was the first person to investigate the state capture, and she will explain it because she's way more qualified to talk about it than I am. I followed it as best I can, but it is bad news for Zuma. Very, very bad news. Now people seem to think that if Zuma goes, everything's going to be rosy in South Africa. Very, very bad idea, that one, because if Nkosazana Dlamini, his ex-wife, becomes president, who he's backing at the moment, I don't see any improvement. If he gets fired or steps down, the EFF with Julius Malema is now talking about joining forces with the ANC. That will be a force to contend with. If you get those two parties joining hands and Malema becomes president, it is my worst nightmare and has been for years. Then, of course, there's the DA, who used to be the party of the white people, but since Maimane took over, he has bought into nationalization, BBEE, all of those things he's stated his preference for. So there essentially is no opposition party in South Africa. And things are very dangerous there right now for the whites and getting worse by the day. So it's been a hectic while. The murders are increasing. The violence of the murders. I didn't think it was possible that it could get worse. But man, the things they are doing to these poor old people, and it's generally old people attacked by gangs of 4 to 6 young black thugs, and they are tortured in horrific ways that no human being could dream up, much less be able to stand and do to somebody. I cannot imagine. The reading about it makes my hair curl and my stomach throw up. I can't imagine standing there and being a part of it. It's beyond me, the inhumane things that these people do. So all of that has speeded up. And of course, we're under more attack than ever because the worse things get in South Africa, the more alarmist, extremist, white nationalists we are, because we're trying to blow the whistle on this lot. So last week we ended with a little bit of, I'm going on a speaking tour. I have a speaking tour arranged, more or less. Now, I'm going to Florida, Tennessee, and Arkansas. Florida is stage 4 right now, and it's a very small post up on Facebook. It's an event that has been posted but has not been advertised or anything because we don't have the venue or the details finished with it. Well, somehow Antifa picked up on this and posted on their news page that they are now going to attack us in force if we turn up in Jacksonville because we are liars. We overinflate the numbers about South African deaths. We are using farm murders as an excuse for talking about white genocide in South Africa. And they will be there in force. Now, we have linked that event to Leigh's website because the reason they are the people that we're going to support with donations at this event. They will go to South African Family Relief Project to help with the farm and to help feed and house the burgeoning numbers of people on the squatter camps in South Africa who Leigh does not have food for at the moment. So she was attacked personally. They say, these Antifa people say that many people tell them that she is the face for white supremacism in South Africa and a front for them. So any money that goes to them is supporting white supremacist organizations. Now, this got up my nose, and I really wanted to reply on their page that they ought to have a look at my 650-page list of the guaranteed, absolutely proven deaths of whites in South Africa. They need to do their homework and Google farm attacks in South Africa and be sick at the photographs that come up. And they need to look at how many farmers we had, how few farmers we have now, and how the people are selling rats in Zimbabwe to eat. And South Africa will be like that soon if they continue at the rate of murdering farmers that they have been doing. And just a little side note to that, the number of farms up for sale in South Africa since the government has trying to pass this law that they can take your land away without compensation is horrific. I mean, we started out, I think, with something like 60,000 farmers in South Africa. We have less than 30,000 now, and I can't remember the exact number. Do you remember, Leigh, how many farms are up for sale?
I believe there's 30,000 farmers and at least
20,000 up for sale. Yeah, that's what I thought.
Are up for sale.
Yeah, that's what I thought, but I was a bit scared to give that number because we have 30,000 commercial farmers and 20,000 of them are trying to sell their farms so that they are not taken away without any compensation. And because, of course, they don't want to be murdered. So can you imagine, can you just imagine 10,000 farmers trying to feed 70 million people and growing? We don't know what the number is. The last census was taken in the early 2000s, so we don't know what the number is today. They are saying 50 million blacks plus 30 million illegals from Zimbabwe and Mozambique and the rest of Africa. And they say 4.5 to 3.5 million whites, but that cannot be the right number because if you look at the numbers that have immigrated and left the country, the number of murders, they cannot be 4.5 million whites left in South Africa. It's an impossible thing. And that's maybe why they don't want to teach maths in school anymore from next year. You don't have to study maths in school anymore, even if you're doing an accountancy degree, because, well, we don't need it. So maybe they're just thinking that if people don't know how to count, like our infamous president with his 11,077 and 5, the huge jokes that are passed around about his being unable to even read a number. Maybe they're hoping that if the whole populace is like that, then we won't be able to add and subtract and come to a right number. But as I say, things in South Africa are at a terrible, terrible stage. I am very worried that we have less than the 5 years that the economists have given South Africa. I think it's R.W. Johnson who said we have 5 years left, but I don't believe that either, because things have gotten so astronomically bad there. So now I'm trying to do something about it. And what happens? I get attacked by ignorant people who probably don't even know where South Africa is situated. And they're attacking me and Leigh because we are trying to do something to help these people. And not only that, I spoke to you, Mel, recently about the fact that a radio station in America tried to put up a GoFundMe to help the white South Africans. And the Anti-Defamation League got involved, and they forced GoFundMe to take down 2 South African-based GoFundMes because they say that we're hoaxes and we're liars and we're scammers because they, in a rainbow nation, something wrong? Never. Don't say stuff like that. The Rainbow Nation is wonderful. Saint Mandela solved every problem that ever existed, and now we're good. So we had to take down the GoFundMes. So now if we can't even do that to help South Africans, what the hell can we do?
Wow. Okay. And I just have a question here. Like you're saying they're taking back the farms. Of course, we know they are taking back the farms, land reclamations. There is a thought that came to my mind. You know, there is a whole bunch of people who aren't farmers, a whole bunch more, that don't realize that once they've taken the farms, they're going to start coming for your businesses and commercial properties and factories, and then your private homes in Umhlanga and Sandton. And then what is going to happen? Because it's only a matter of time before we start seeing the army tanks rolling down the streets of these plush suburbs, hauling people out of their homes to do an accounting for what is actually inside. This is nothing less than what we saw happen with the supposed Nazi Germany, where they went and pulled Jews out of their homes and took their stuff. It's exactly the same. It's a targeted, you can call it gender-based, you can call it race-based, however you want to categorize it. I don't like labels, but we are seeing a specific demographic of the population being targeted for the play out of a greater agenda.
Oh, absolutely, because the law actually states that. It is not just farming properties. It is every white-owned property. So it's your home, your business, your shopping center, everything. And the thing about that, it doesn't have to come from the government. Your local city council, municipality can come and tell you, we need this land for municipal purposes. And so you have to be out within a week. And you have to go. You have to go. They don't have to tell you why. They can sit that house empty for 6 years. It doesn't matter. You have to be gone. So people must not.
And never mind, they bring in the red ants to remove you if you do not go.
That too, by force. And look at what's happening in central Johannesburg right now. The buildings that they've been squatting in for years, they sent the red ants in and throwing them out into the street. And it's disaster after disaster, protest after protest, burning things, looting things. We don't have a home to live in, so we'll burn the homes that still remain. We don't like the school policies, we'll burn the schools. We don't like your shopping center policies, we'll burn your stores. We don't like this church, we'll burn it down. The trains are running late or there's not enough room in them, we'll burn them as well. The crazy illogic of it all is just beyond me. Words fail me. But what I would like Leigh to talk about is something dreadful happened to them the day before yesterday. And it is a first-hand account of what is happening to people in South Africa. So, Leigh, I know that you're shaken up and really don't want to talk about it. I really think you need to, because these things happen 200 times a day in South Africa and nobody's talking about it.
Well, we went and picked up my daughter and her son-in-law, and on the side of the road we saw a black BMW with tinted windows and another vehicle. And as we approached, they was on the side of the road, and as we approached them, they started moving, and we went past them. The BMW went into the oncoming lane and overtook us, and was right in front of us, and the other vehicle followed him into the oncoming lane, and the BMW started putting on his brakes, and the vehicle on the right-hand side of us started boxing us in, and they tried to push us off into the dirt gravel on the side of the road. Well, let me tell you, we didn't know what was going on. We just thought that he wanted to pull off the BMW, but we then quickly realized, thank goodness to my husband's quick thinking, we realized that this could be an attempted hijacking. And we drove for, I think about 3 or 4 kilometers, trying to shake him off, trying to keep the vehicle steady. And eventually my husband saw a gap between the BMW and the vehicle next to us, and he went right in between of them. The BMW came towards us and scraped the side of our bakkie, and luckily my husband managed to find a dirt road, and we went in there. But it was a few seconds and they were behind us again, and the fear that we didn't know what was going on. They were chasing us, and it's horrifying. My entire body is sore from the stress. You go into such a tension and fear mode. Thank goodness for Marius, because he put dust in their eyes, and we turned from one street into the other dirt road until we shook them off. But it's a horrific experience. And today we found out that they pushed an elderly couple off the road. They went right into the ditch. They were robbed at gunpoint because by then their vehicle wasn't able to drive anymore. And we were very, very lucky. But I know now what goes through your mind when you are put in a situation like that. Then you go to the police station to lay a report or make a report, and they ask you, how many people were in the BMW? And then we said, but the window were tinted, we couldn't see. And they keep on repeating the question, how are we supposed to see if the vehicle had tinted windows? The silly questions that they ask you, and then the drivers from the other vehicle, they just never looked at us even once while trying to push us off the road. They just kept looking in front of them. It was really, really so surreal. I don't know how to explain how weird it felt, but the fear in us, we can't sleep. I'm just thankful that we are all right.
Bless your heart, Leigh. I'm really grateful that you are all right. Do you think this was just a random attack, or do you think you were targeted because of the work you do?
I cannot say, because that is very difficult to say. They were waiting for us.
Oh, Leigh's gone on to mute.
Oh dear. Oh dear.
Leigh, can you hear us?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, you're back now. Yes, carry on, please.
It's very hard to say, because they were basically waiting for us. As we drove past, they immediately went onto the tar road, followed us, overtook us, and started boxing us in. Whether they were targeting specific vehicles, you know, like buckets or a car, or whether they were actually targeting us, I cannot say. It's impossible to say. We don't know.
Yeah, Leigh. That's what has always been my worry, Leigh, about you being there. I know that without you, literally tens of thousands of people would have starved to death and had nowhere to live. I know that. But at the same time, if I could get you out of there, I would come and put you under my arm, pack you in a suitcase and take you away, kicking and screaming. Because of what you do, you are in more danger than most people. So Leigh, could you update us about the farm? I know you've rescued your first people now who are living with you. You finished your kitchen, the ablution block. You must be so proud. You must be so very proud and yet nervous because there's so few that you can rescue at one time.
Yes. Extremely proud. We have been blessed by a wonderful group of people. They came here late afternoon and begged us to take them in. I wasn't completely ready to take in people, but I saw the little pregnant lady and I just couldn't say no. I took them in, I cooked them a meal, and the gratefulness in their eyes is, and the so many things, and they helped to wash the dishes. I shared and sat down with them and spoke to them about the experience, and it's basically they cannot find improvement. No matter how many CVs they give in, they walk, they buy, they ask, they beg, and they have been living on bones. That's meaty bones. They go to the butcher and ask the butcher for the leftover bones that they do not sell from the meat. And what they do is they cook that up with salt and then little bits of meat that falls the bone, they eat that with bread, if they can meal. And they've been living on this for 5 months. And I saw this pregnant girl and she was tiny. Her tummy is tiny. You can see she's malnourished. The next day, I went and got her some bananas, and she's loving the bananas. And I'm thinking, oh, baby, you know, not enough. And they ate. Oh my goodness! They ate so much food. When you see them eat, they are so scared that they are not going to get another meal. And they were actually ill after that. So I had to sit down with them and tell them that you are okay. You are going to be fine. You will get another plate of food tomorrow. And I am here for you, no matter what. You have a home now, and you have a family that cares about you, each and every one of you. And it's taken, they are here now for a month. It's taken about a month to get them to eat slower in order not to get indigestion. And they know now that there will be food tomorrow. And no matter what, I will make a plan so that there is food. Even if it's just pop and soup and bread. But it's nourishing and I also sat down with them and I asked in themselves, and their abilities, knowing just because they've a downhill. So in this, two of them are going to get in contact with their children that they haven't seen in years. They are in tears. I'm reuniting a father with his daughter, the elderly man with his daughter who is, and two of them will be moving on soon because both of them have found employment. This is in 1 month. So
that's a wonderful success story, because I remember speaking to you on Facebook the day that those people arrived. That was a weekend after you worked to death, and you had just posted, I'm taking this weekend off. I'm switching off my phone and I'm having a rest. We finished these buildings. I'm taking a rest before I do anything else. And within about an hour, there was Leigh. These 8 people have just arrived at the gate and they're starving and I don't know what to do. I don't have food for them. Well, I jumped on the phone and contacted everybody I could, and within about an hour, we had money for food for Leigh. But it was absolutely hectic. And then I Skyped Leigh a couple of days later, and I spoke to all these people personally on Skype. And I don't know how you do it, Leigh, because for me, you are helping these people. But what about all the others that were already on your list of applicants to come there? And I'd like to speak particularly. Now listen to this one. Leigh will never tell you this, but they had no food on the farm. Her husband, and Piet, who works with them, they had absolutely no food. Well, by mistake, she let this drop to me because she told me what they were not having for supper. So, of course, I did my normal thing and got on the phone and contacted a dozen people and said, look here, this is an absolute emergency. We need help right now. So we got Leigh help, and they sent her money for food. So what does Leigh do with it? Leigh buys food, cooks huge pot of curry and rice, and takes it to the local camp and feeds everybody at the camp. You are the most unbelievable person, Leigh. Before feeding yourself, before putting shoes on your feet, that's another one that I have some bones to pick with you about. No shoes on your feet, but giving them to everybody else. Really. But apart from that, so she takes this money that was meant to keep them going for a month. She takes it and cooks for 2 camps and feeds the kids. And posts these beautiful pictures of the kids being fed, which all looks good and well. But when I speak to Leigh on Skype, Leigh is in tears. Say, Leigh, what on earth is wrong? You've just had this fantastic day. You fed all these children. They looked so happy. Say, there were still hungry people there. They came back for seconds and I didn't have food for them. And how can I look in their eyes and tell them that there isn't any more? This is the story of her life. She's a stronger woman than I will ever be. All I have to do is write some emails or jump on the phone and speak to friends, and I can get help. He has to face those hungry faces every day of her life and say, you and you can get fed today, but you and you can't. Imagine playing God to that degree. It must break you, Leigh.
You know, when you get like only a 10 kilogram of rice and you see all these faces, I asked them to bring a plastic bag, and I will divide that 10 kilograms of rice, and each one will get a half a cup or a cup, only 1 cup. And I make it stretch as best I can. You make it as you make it go as far as humanly possible, even if it's half a cup. That can feed, 1 or 2 people. So if it wasn't for you, Karin, and your amazing support, I don't think we would, and everybody else's also, but I don't think we would ever be able to cope. I go to the local grocer and asked him, "Sir, please, here is my organization number. You are welcome to visit us at any stage. Could we have your vegetables that are going off? Because then what I'll do is I wash them off and I cut off the bad parts, and we make soups with the good part." And they say, "Sorry, we can't give it to you." And you see them throw it outside into the dumpsters and the bins where the other black people and whoever passes takes it. But if we go near it, then we get into trouble. We are chased away.
Yeah, Leigh, I really don't know how you do it, because there are many, many, many times that I've spoken to you where you've been feeding a camp full of children. You haven't eaten for 3 days yourself, but you're in tears because some child wanted some more and you didn't have any. It breaks my heart. And I really...
It's terrible when they come to you and they say, "Can I please have more?" And I know that movie with the child that was in the orphanage. I can't remember the movie. Oliver Twist, that's correct. And I never actually, as a child, realized or thought about why that child went and asked for more. Now, today, I know. Believe me, I know.
So, Leigh, I'm seeing it more and more in South Africa. I mean, our friends from the Bus Foundation and Miljoen Stemmer for Steve, all our friends there are suffering from exactly the same thing, that there are more and more and more people in need and less and less and less available for them. So you know that I do everything I can, and you know there's not much more really that I can do. I mean, I'm at your beck and call 24 hours a day. If you need help, I will get it for you. But there's only so much that can be done without a wider audience than we have got now. We need the world to stand up and say enough is enough, and we are now going to help, because the handful of people that I have that are willing to help can also only do so much. I can't expect 5 donors to feed 1 million people in camps. It's not possible. Although they try. You have to admit, Leigh, that we have got the most fabulous friends here in America.
Oh, yes. This farm project is because of friends.
We lost you again, Leigh. You're gone. Can't hear you.
No.
Can you hear me?
Yes, now I can hear you. Sorry, you were saying it's because of fabulous people.
It's because of fabulous people like the friends and the contacts that you've had, and Mel V and them and everybody else, that we are able to carry on with this project and feed so many people. We cannot do this. The government does not care what happens to us. We are in the way, and we do not have the right to ask in their view. So we have to sort ourselves out, and either we buckle down and work hard and help each other, or we are done for.
No, absolutely, Leigh. But the problem there is as well, I don't know if we spoke about this on this show. I kind of lose track of what we said where. But if we have, I apologize, but it bears repeating that people in Australia and people in the UK have tried to send you container loads of goods with clothes and food and things. So when that happens and it reaches South Africa, tell us about the difficulties you have with that, because even that way of helping has been closed to you.
Well, if we are lucky enough and it actually reaches us, which is practically zero. But when it does reach us, we have to fork out large amounts of money to pay import costs, taxes. But most of the times we never get it. It's either stolen, replaced with something else, damaged so badly that it's not usable. So it's impossible for us to receive broken and stolen and damaged goods and still pay import taxes on that, where I could have used that money and try and go and buy bulk food to feed the masses. Food is non-existent in South Africa amongst the poor. We are not getting in any food. It is not nearly enough. Yes, sometimes we get like big bags of maize meal, but you cannot live on maize meal alone. Children are starving, pregnant mothers are starving, the elderly are starving. So we are already sitting with huge problems with malnourishment. You can already see when you're in the camps that the children's bellies are bloated because that's all they eat is bread and maize meal. They don't often get anything to go with it.
And yet, Leigh, so you do a huge big part of curry and rice and you take it to a camp and you feed the children. So they're fed once. You can't do that 3 times a day, every day.
No,
so
I can't.
The next week you go to a different camp and those kids in the first camp are going hungry. And for me, it is just such a mammoth task that a handful of people have undertaken to try and deal with. And I don't know how else we can help. I mean, we can't send you food, we can't send you clothes, we can't send you blankets, we can't send you anything. So all we do is send money. And there's just not enough.
And that too is limited. So when we do get funds, we have to make sure that we are able to stretch it as far as possible. That's why in the winters it's easier because then you can make soups, but we make soups during summer as well on the hottest days because at least we know that the soup is nourishing and you can feed many people on soup. So winter, spring, summer or autumn, soup is the main meal. They are so happy to get a cup of soup, and that's only like a cup. It's not much.
Leigh, I don't know, because now I see that a whole bunch of the mines are closing down as well with this threat of, not a threat anymore. They have happening. 32% of hand over, not sell, give 32% of the mines to the blacks, and now they're talking about making it 50%. So a lot of them are closing, which means more people are out of work. How are you going to cope, Leigh? Because you've been telling me there isn't a square centimeter in the camps for another person to go and live, at least in safety of numbers. There isn't even space there for them.
Well, I mean, today we had to take Essie to the clinic and met up with a mom and a little girl and her son, and they're living in a car because there is no space, nowhere for them, no space. She's tried everywhere, and those 2 children are tiny. They're like 4 and 3 years old. It's winter, and she goes to the nearest garage and she stays awake during the day and lets her baby sleep at night. And then during the day, she takes a nap or 2 while the children play in the back seat. And she tries and stands at the intersection to get a little bit of money so that she can buy food for her children so that they can eat a meal. And they only have 1 meal. These folks that arrived here, they only have one meal a day. They are not used to having a breakfast or a lunch or a dessert or things like that. They had the cooked up meaty bones and bread if they are lucky. That's what they lived on. And like I said, today we took Essie to the clinic. She has, in this month that they've been here, picked up 10 kilograms. And she is still tiny. She is still tiny.
And
so
great.
The doctor was so excited and happy because she'd eventually started picking up weight, and the baby is doing well. And I just burst out into tears. I was so happy because we were fearing for the little one, you know, and the hardship that mum had gone through in the beginning stages of her pregnancy. Only one, mommy. How many thousands are out there having to go through the exact same thing?
With no Leigh to help them.
With nobody to help them. But the churches don't care anymore. They are only looking after their little congregation, and even other organizations. We are trying to stand together and band together and help each other with whatever we can. Maybe I've got a little bit of extra rice and the other one's got a little bit of extra baked beans. And then we try and meet each other halfway and we swap a little bit so that we can have a little bit of baked beans and they can have a little bit of rice. You know, it's a battle. It's a battle.
And Leigh, yet there are so many people trying to make money out of this who are false charities, who do not put the money where it's meant to go. And they are damaging people like yourself. Because once somebody has given money to a crook, you don't trust anybody after that, and you don't want to give any more. And yet I wouldn't either. I understand it, Leigh, but that's not the point. The point is the need is so huge. And you have these scam artists who are making a buck off of it. And it makes me crazy. It really makes me crazy because I see your daily battles. I see your tears and your prayers for these children and your heart for them and your endless uphill battle to help more people. And yet there are people who just see it as well, let's fill my own pockets. I mean, that is the way in South Africa, is it not? You know, corruption and fill your own pockets. That's the way it goes.
They can do it. Why can't we? Type of attitude.
There you go. And then you've got the who don't even see the problem in their backyard. And if they do see it, well, that's just nonsense. It's an isolated incident, so we don't have to take notice of it. So not only are you fighting, you're fighting so many battles. You're fighting the liberal naysayers. You're fighting the scammers. And you're fighting lack and poverty and hunger and need. It's impossible what you're doing, Leigh.
You know, like you said, some of the organizations, they get donations donated to them because they are BE compliant. So they get tons and tons of food that we would, I'm telling you, just one load would serve so many people. And they go and they sell it. And they drive wonderful, beautiful cars, and they are not serving the people in poverty, no matter which group the focus is on. And the only thing that we can do is, that's why this project is so dear to my heart, is we are getting eggs daily from our chickens. And our duck is sitting on 8 the next 2 to 3 weeks. And we will have some goat's milk. And I've started trying to bake my own bread, although it's as hard as a rock, until we get proper bread baked. Self-sustainable on this little property is the main focus, so that we can feed ourselves and everybody else on the property. but also teach them how to make cheese and candles and how to sew. And the ladies made most beautiful arts and crafts. And when I sat them down, I said to them, okay, today we're going to do artwork. And they looked at me like, what? I can't paint, I can't draw. And I said, nonsense. Each and every one of you has a skill, and everyone is artistic. I don't believe that nobody can be artistic. And the stuff that they made, I was absolutely amazed. And they were so proud of what they had done. I praised each and every one of them. It was beautiful, beautiful work that they did. And now they can build up a little bit of a reserve, and we can sell it at a market, and they can earn a little bit of money, you know, from selling the goods. There's so much we can do to focus on the bad, although the bad is feel like getting out of bed and trying to go through another day with telling families that, I'm sorry, I can't help you. We have barely enough food to feed.
Oh, Leigh, that is a bit of your work that I would absolutely not be able to cope with. I could not look into those.
I can't help this camp. I can't, because there are many people that are baking.
Oh, we lost her altogether.
Well, we lost Leigh. I'm sure she'll be back on.
Mel, what this lady? I'm not mistaken. She's a hero.
Oh my goodness!
She's an angel without wings. I can't say enough good things about this woman. I have been with her through tears, through starvation on her own part, through having no shoes because she gave them to one of these people. Through she is the most amazing human being that it has been my luck to meet, honestly, and I can never do enough to help her cause, because I know that she goes without. It's not like she gets a huge salary and is living in style, well, you know, from donations. So I put my last penny into that girl's cause if I could.
Wow, I'm also just so honored and humbled to be in such excellent company of such beautiful hearts. And it's heartbreaking to hear the struggles that they have to go through.
Terrible.
We really do need to be making more of an effort to, I can see Leigh's camera's come back. Hopefully she'll pop back into the picture. But I really do hope that we can find more people on the ground in South Africa who are willing to actually help their own people. And there is enough to go around. That's the thing. Is actually enough to go around if people actually just band together and stop being selfish and self-centered. You know, we know, I grew up in Umhlanga. I know there's enough rich white people there who can contribute to this cause. I'm talking to all of you who I grew up with, my mom's friends. Please, guys, this is not something that we should just pass by randomly, because, you know, it could be your children or your grandchildren that are facing this kind of hardship in the very near future, because this is the direction South Africa is going. You know, the money and resources is not going to last forever. If you are a white person, there is every chance that you could have your assets taken and seized, your bank account shut at any point, because this is what they want to do. So while we can, let's help each other, because if we don't help each other, there's going to be nobody left.
No. You posted the most touching thing today about you can help us do everything you can and spend yourself on everything, but until you look after yourself and your family. Well, as far as I'm concerned, every white South African is my family, and I'm trying damned hard with every fiber of my being to look after them, because if I don't, the day I go to meet my maker, what am I going to say to him? I turned my back and I didn't care. I don't think so. I don't think so. I want to be able to say, I may not have done enough, but I tried. I did my best. And that is my hope. That I've done something. And if everybody did a little something, we would make such a big difference. We'd live in such a different world. Exactly.
Yes, sorry, it just went dead. I had to plug in another one. Sorry about that.
No worries.
No, we don't have electricity here, so we only work on solar power and a power inverter, and it's difficult
good that you can be with us. Thank goodness for the bit of technology that everyone can still access, because without these tools, we wouldn't be able to communicate these messages across the world. And it's very important that people understand exactly what is happening in South Africa and how it is affecting people at a grassroots level. And as I keep saying, because it's not just going to be South Africa, this is coming soon to a city near you. South Africa has always been a political testing ground, and I'll say it now, I'll say it again, I'll say it next week until people understand on an international level what you are listening to is only the beginning, okay? It's only the beginning. And just because it's happening in South Africa, it might be far away from where you are, doesn't mean it's not going to be happening to you in the future.
Leigh, I wanted to speak to you about another thing. There's been awful lots in the news recently about the hospitals. Now, you had a hospital experience this week, and you have them quite often because you take the people from the camps to the hospital. The disastrous state of hospitals in South Africa. Could you talk about that? Ms. Leigh.
Well, you walk in lying on the side in the car. Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
It's terrible. When you walk into one of the government hospitals, you see the sick people lying on the floor in the corridors. Blood, urine, feces, needles, pipes. The stench is absolutely unbearable. The staff is lazy. The bathrooms are dirty. You cannot think of going to the loo in one of those places because you will definitely catch something. You will be admitted within 24 hours, and I'm not joking. It's just a cesspool of filth. And I went and visited a friend of ours, Irene. She is in very critical condition in the hospital, and I mean she's in a critical care, and the rooms smell terrible. I couldn't stay there for more than 10 minutes. I had to go. It was just too much for me to handle. You see people with open wounds not being attended to. HIV is huge in Africa, let alone in South Africa. And blood is all over. You've got to basically put on a space suit and a breathing apparatus in order to enter one of those hospitals safely. It's terrible, but it's the truth.
And Leigh, you were talking about somebody who has high blood pressure and couldn't get their drugs.
Yes. One of our residents called the clinic 3 times. And 3 times they say, I'm sorry, we do not have any medication. There's no contraceptive for these ladies, or for the men for that matter. I have to either go and buy cash at the nearest pharmacy, and these blood pressure medication is expensive. Buying it over the counter, they don't even have the IRB drugs for AIDS patients. You see the AIDS patients stand in lines, going zigzag. It looks like a voting station. And nobody is getting any medication. But yet we have countries like England and America funding and sending lots of medicines for HIV, but there's none available when the patients need it.
Oh,
Now you must think to yourself, you have a child or a tiny, tiny baby, and you've got to bring that child or that tiny baby into those circumstances. How sick is that child going to be by the time you get to see a doctor? Because that can take up to 2 days, depending on which hospital you go to. And if you are an adult or an elderly person, it can take up to 3 to 4 days sitting there. And if you leave, you lose your spot waiting to see a doctor. And you don't get to see the doctor. You get diagnosed by a sister or a nurse. You cannot just demand to see a doctor. The nurse and the sister signs off on your condition and your medication.
Yeah, I saw pictures of the hospital this morning with patients lying in the corridors, and you have to bring your own sheets, your own blankets, your own mattress, your own food, your own medications. Why even go there? I've wondered for years why they even go to the hospital if they have to supply all of this stuff themselves anyway. And then, Leigh, of course, there's the story about the Durban hospitals where the last oncologist had left. The equipment is not working. So if you've got cancer anywhere in the Durban area, tough luck for you, baby, because there's no doctors left.
That's correct.
It's an absolute...
All the doctors have left.
Yeah.
So that means that even with their condition that is so bad, they have to travel to another province in order to see an oncologist, which costs obviously more money. Person is already in so much debt, being diagnosed with a condition as cancer, and there's no doctors available.
Yeah, it's dreadful, Leigh, the situation.
And then the other thing, sorry, Karin, and then the other thing is you get to see a doctor. If you are very lucky, you'll be able to understand the man because he's from some foreign country that cannot speak English properly, let alone his own language, because we don't know, we cannot understand what they are saying. And there's nobody to interpret for you. So you've just got to take a guess at what he's saying to you.
Yeah, I believe there was a huge influx of Cuban doctors. Now, I don't know if that's still what you've got because that was before I left. But they were running brothels out of mental hospitals and out of the hospitals themselves. So yes. I don't know if you still have the Cuban doctors or if that was kind of an end to them.
We do. We've got doctors from Pakistan and one of the ladies said she saw a Somalian doctor from Somalia and from all African countries as well. So they are coming here to South Africa to practice medicine.
I read an article this morning that shocked me speechless, that if the Indian population in South Africa send their children to study medicine in India, because they can't get into a university in South Africa, the same as the whites can't. They can't practice when they come back because the Department of Health has said that they can't afford to do the crossover exams from India to South Africa. So Indian families who have spent a fortune educating their children cannot bring them home to practice medicine in South Africa, where they are desperately needed.
Oh. Yes, and they're qualifying when they go and study medicine in India, the passing rate is higher than South Africa, but yet they have to do like you say, a exam in order to practice medicine in South Africa, but they are highly qualified, and South African doctors are not.
Mm. Now, I read that this morning with absolute...
Because your surgeon only has to pass with 35%. I'm going to let cut on me that passed 5%. You're right. So you must be crazy going to one of those.
I read that in the new school year, they're going to drop the pass rate even lower than 30%.
That's correct.
And they're going to drop, as I said, they're going to drop maths and science from an absolute must pass. They're going to drop the university pass rate. So for a country that has got garbage education system, it's going to be even worse.
But that's only for the blacks. The white people have to maintain an average of, I think it was 75 or 85% pass rate.
Yeah.
That's only to accommodate black doctors or black students in the medical field.
Oh,
Yeah. I as I said to you, Mel, when I started out here, there has been so much happening in South Africa in the last couple of weeks. I can't keep up. If I spent 24 hours a day studying events in South Africa, I would still be way behind because this stuff is coming so thick and fast that you just can't. But if all you need is a below 30% pass rate to be a lawyer, a doctor, a surgeon, good Lord, I don't want one of those working on me.
hell no. This whole actually low pass rate is actually something that's gone back a number of years. I didn't realize it made into the medical establishment because I came out of high school in 1993, and actually the first 2 black kids were admitted into my school in 91. And there were 2 black girls in my class, and I remember they didn't even have the ability to work out their own aggregate, which is, you add all your marks together and divided by the number of subjects you have. I was very friendly with them, and they actually asked me to help them work out the aggregate. That's how little skill they had in maths. And both of them had below average pass rates. We knew what we needed to pass. And back then we became aware of the fact that there was a 2-tier system for the whites and the blacks. I mean, this is already at this, the release of Nelson Mandela. As I came out of high school straight into university in 94, Mandela became president. And back then we were aware that there was a different pass rate, but I'm absolutely incensed and disgusted and just mortified that they could even consider applying a split ratio to something that is so necessary to have a high skill level like surgery. I mean, my goodness, if someone's going to cut you open, at least they've got to know where your spleen or heart is before they begin opening you up.
That's my point exactly. You don't know what credentials that person has, so you basically take a huge fat chance in going to a government hospital. And yet, sometimes you are so desperate and in so much pain, you take what you can get. So I feel sorry. How many times have we heard that the one person was supposed to have an appendectomy and then his right foot was amputated?
Yes, that happened recently. And those photographs,
it's ridiculous.
Those photographs of that guy was with an axe. What they did, I swear he was worse when he came out of hospital than when he went in.
Yeah. Yes.
The stitching seems to be done, and it's not even done with stitching the material. It looks like it's done with inner tubing. It's thick stuff like this, and the meat is
and they don't clean the wound.
No, they don't clean it before.
They don't clean the wounds. There's maggots. When the family eventually got to this poor old lady, there had been maggots all over her leg. They took the photographs and the video footage, and the nursing sister said, well, if you don't like it, you can come and clean it yourself.
Yeah,
So,
I saw that, Leigh. That person with the whole leg sliced open, that they didn't stitch up or anything.
They don't clean it properly because there's nothing to clean the wounds with. Everything is backed up. They don't have cleaning materials. They don't have gauze. They don't have this. They don't have
I saw the guy who had back surgery. They didn't even stitch up. So
the proper medicines to these hospitals.
they got nothing.
I don't understand why these hospitals are operating. It's death. It's a death camp.
Absolutely, Lee. But what are you going to do if you've got the people in the camps? They have no money to go anywhere else. So you take them in desperation because they are now really ill, and you wait there for 4 days, and eventually some sisters, really kind, generous, with heart sister, sees you, slaps you around a little bit, and sends you on your way with 2 aspirin if you're lucky. I mean, I feel so terrible for these farm attack victims and things if they do not have medical aid, because they go to the, well, you've seen the results. We're talking about the results of people who have been attacked with axes, with pangas. Yes. They go to the hospital. They come out, oh my Lord, the pictures that I have seen in the last 2 weeks.
It's becoming more and more violent. And believe you me, if they know that you are a victim from a farm attack, I'm sorry to say that, and people might shoot me down, but it means that you cannot identify the perpetrator, or you cannot make a case against.
No, Leigh, I know that, because when they shot my dad and my brother, my mom called the police, and they asked her on the phone, can you identify your attackers by name? And my mom said, I've got 2 men lying bleeding on the floor here. Please. And they didn't come. We never heard another word from them because you couldn't identify them by name. So I understand exactly what you're saying. And if my parents had not had medical aid, I don't know. I mean, the results were horrific in any case. But had they had to go to the state hospital, I dread to think what the results would have been from that. So I want to be ill when people post these photographs on social media. But on the other hand, how else but by shock value are you going to get the attention of the blind, stupid, unwilling to look world?
Yes.
How
You know,
your attention?
unfortunately, it is not a good practice, but we are on it's like a security group, okay, on WhatsApp. And many a nights, and it's a national security group, many a nights you hear a elderly person or a woman or a man crying out for help, say, please, they're busy attacking me, please come and help us. We don't know what to do. I've got children in the house. And you hear those frantic calls. I wish that I could actually take those calls and post them for the world to hear what these voices in fear sound like. I wouldn't be able to do that because that would you know, hurt the families.
Yeah, it's a betrayal
that have been attacked. But for us hearing that the calls and the gunshots and the franticness and the fear and oh no.
And those things, Leigh, you never hear about.
You don't.
They happen 3 times a night, every night. I know my parents had TV radio, which were connected to all the farms. So it was farm radio. Yes. And was on 24 hours. And you heard it day and night, people screaming for help. My house is on fire. My son has been shot. They're attacking us. Yes. And all the farmers in the area would rush there. But I mean, farmers are isolated and far apart. You never get there in time. Now, if people could hear that, just 24 hours of that, we would make believers of them. They wouldn't come and tell us we're liars and we scam artists. It's horrific to hear the desperate pleas for help and know that you're not going to get there in time.
Yeah.
It's awful, Leigh. It is awful.
And I go absolutely ice cold because And you know how many people are too scared to even go out of their property to go and help the next family because you don't know what's waiting for you around the corner. So invariably, if there isn't anybody to go out and help you, unfortunately, we all know what that means.
And yet, Leigh, you see 1 or 2 murders a week in the newspapers. We hear it, we see it all on social media because people post my neighbor, my friend, my sister, my brother, my cousin, my church member. So we can count them, quantify them that way.
Mm-hmm.
But even then, we don't get them all. We
don't. We
do not get them all because people, the unheard of, the people who don't have the radio, who don't have the WhatsApp, you'll never hear about them ever because it's a death by natural causes.
That's it.
Yeah. It makes me ill. I wanted to ask you, Leigh, have you heard anything more about the mortuary situation? Because that was horrific. It was horrific. Are they back at work?
It still is horrific. They have such a huge backlog with bodies that are piled up in these mortuaries. It's not going to take them weeks. It is going to take them months, maybe up to a year, to get this sorted out. It's horrible, absolutely horrible. And they are digging up the graves that are older than
yes,
to put new bodies in.
That is desecration at its absolute worst.
The people that have paid for those burial sites, they are saying, sorry, your loved one has laid there long enough. We are putting someone else in there. And
RIP means RIP. Forever. Not just for 5 years until the government decides they're going to put someone else there. It is too absolutely horrifying for words, the thought of people's families being disinterred to make space for someone else. It is, it is beyond horrifying. They
are so far behind in doing autopsies. By the time they get to the autopsy, that guy will be a mummy. I'm sorry to say, but that's how it's ending up to be. Forensics is far behind. It's just, I don't know. The entire system in South Africa is collapsing, and people are not realizing. People are not seeing it. I'm here. My family's here. My friends are here. We are seeing it and living it every day. The protests are becoming more and more violent. They don't think twice of stabbing you. You cannot drive on the highway. Just going to work on a highway. They are throwing rocks and stones and boulders from the bridges on top of the highway onto the cars. Yeah, this is happening more and more.
I had that. I worked at the casino at Carnival City and lived in Johannesburg. So you have to leave very early in the morning and come home very late at night because you work long hours. And I was coming home the one night and this rock came from the bridge onto my windscreen. But luckily, I had read in the paper the day before, do not stop. Whatever you do, do not stop because that's what they're trying to get you to do. It's terrifying. It is terrifying, the stuff that they are getting up to. And the pictures of the highways now, I saw taxi union broke up some protest on the highway yesterday, but the same taxi union is protesting on the same highway today. So the whole thing is just damn ridiculous. I mean, really, only in Africa. I don't know what else to say. Only in Africa. It is.
And you know, for us, the Land First, Blacks First, that organization, they are becoming huge in South Africa. You see them all over. They have said that they will occupy land by December. Come hell or high water, they will. No matter who is the president, no matter who is running for president, they do not care. So for us here in farmland area, it is, and we are close to Hammanskraal. You know where Hammanskraal is. It's a black settlement. So we are really in fear, and we've spoken to some of the other farmers around us, and we're going to a meeting now in this on Saturday, actually, to see how we can all keep ourselves safe and defend ourselves when they come to your property and want you off.
Because you know they're coming. You know they
No,
are. And that
it's
guys,
not. It is when.
absolutely.
It is just a matter of time. Unfortunately, most people think, yeah, you're spreading doom and gloom. Yeah. I can see every single day when I go to the shops or wherever, it's dangerous just to go somewhere, just to go to the, and we are quite a distance away from the nearest big shop. So we have to travel a dangerous road, either on the highway that costs a lot of money because there's about 5 toll gates to go through, or the very, very dangerous one that has no lights. You have attempted hijackings. So
You can't win, can you?
no, you can't win. You can't win. You just, when you leave your house, you say, I pray that I'll be back. Oh. You've got to make it a little bit lighthearted, because if you don't, you will lose your mind. You will. You've got to put some, and although it's very, very serious, I try and be positive as best I can. Although we've been through an horrific thing Saturday, but we try and be positive most of the time, because if
You're gone again.
Give her a moment.
Mm.
There we go. Yeah, you're back, Leigh.
yes, I said if you do not put a little bit of humor into life that we have here, you'll go mad. You'll lose your head.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Lisa, what is it that is needed most? What is it that we can be doing to help? Because you know, on the ground, for me, it's easy. I look from a distance. I speak to you every day, or most days anyway, but I don't see. You know, it's things like toiletries, and I think of young girls and the things that they face with none of the feminine products that they need. I mean, that is my biggest, my biggest sick making thing, because it's a hard enough time for a young teenager without not having the things that you require, and not being able to wash, and not having a bath, and not having spare clothes. It just makes me feel ill. What is it that you require most?
Well, food. Always food. Food is, it can never be enough, because there are so many mouths to feed. I don't have only these people. We've got 170 odd people at Sonskyn. I've got 30 odd people at Growing Wise, 300 people at Munseyville. We've got Philadelphia Arc, Maranatha, Plot 111. We've got so many places, and it's not enough. Food can never ever be enough. So food is always in desperate need. And then toiletries. We are trying to see if I can't make soap somehow, because soap has become so expensive. I'm going to see if I can make soap in order to give out to these folks. And then shampoo, shampoo is expensive. They use the soap to wash their hair. It makes the hair dull, but at least the hair is clean. We don't give out shampoo because that's a luxury. And lady products we never get. It's very, very seldom that we do get a little bit. It's also very expensive. They're not given out here like in other countries. So, yes, you get 1 or 2 packs of ladies products, and you give it to 5 women, and it's finished. And that's only for 1 or twice use. That's it.
Yeah, those
lady products are hugely in demand.
But those are things that people don't think of, Leigh.
No, they
seldom thinks about things like that. But you know, it's been my bugbear for years, that thing. I can't bear to think of these poor innocent little girls coming into that part of their life and having the indignities as well. It just, it's an awful thing. You know that we're doing what we can, my daughter and I.
I know.
You know, we're sending what we can. But
well, she said to me, this is absolutely fantastic. Cara said to me that you and her are sending a huge batch of lady products, and oh wow, we are so thankful for that. It's awesome. We cannot wait. I'm going to take so many pictures and hand out to these girls.
Shame taking pictures. Yeah, but these are very good things, Leigh, because you just boil them and reuse them and boil them and reuse them forever and ever.
Yes.
And it's not an advert for it, and it's not a good topic, but it's something that people do not think about. That these girls are I can't. I'm sorry, I can't think about it. So yes, and we were very lucky because we found a South African supplier that we can pay for here, and that will supply there. They gave us a terribly hard time because they wanted to know which black camp we were helping, and they raised the price when it wasn't for a black camp. So yeah, it's been a bit of a nightmare, but after much consultation and much thought about everything, it seemed the best route to go. And we will, every time we come into a few extra pennies, we'll do some more. Because,
thank you, Karin. You guys are really awesome.
Well,
I cannot thank you enough.
That's not me. My daughter's fabulous. She did all the homework on it, and she did the research, and she did all the phoning and emailing around, and she says she can't speak on air. She can't be the face of anything. She doesn't want to know about that, but this she can do. So yeah, I'm very proud of her, Leigh, just by the way. But it was her. It really wasn't.
Yeah, well, so are we. I'm absolutely flabbergasted at the gesture. Because nobody else thinks about it, and you guys thought about it. And you know, for us to ask such a thing, you know, it's difficult because not many people will even that's the luxury in most people's eyes.
We spent weeks in a sewing circle sewing those reusable, rewashable ones, and then we couldn't get them there. So we have this whole suitcase full of them that we can't get to South Africa. I mean, it's a different method, you know. So
yeah,
I hope it helps, and please know we will send more.
It will definitely, without a doubt.
You know, when we come into 2 more pennies, we'll definitely rub those together magically and make them stretch a little and send some more because it's a great thing. But Leigh, it's just so
thank you so much, Karin.
No. It's nothing. It's an absolute nothing. I'm just wondering what else anybody can do to help, because there are so many needs that one doesn't look at and won't talk about because it's not politically correct to talk about those things. So we just push it away and let the people suffer rather. And I know
Let's talk about that, ladies. Let's talk about that. What are the other needs that need to be met?
Well, simple things like toothpaste, bar soap, socks, and
things that we all take for granted now.
You will not believe socks. A few pair of socks, like I think it was 100. That's it. A pair of socks. I cannot tell you, I was close to tears, and I've been a bit desensitized by all the pity going around and us working in the camps. But the people's reaction to the socks was absolutely mind-blowing.
I saw the pictures of it.
They actually wanted to fight. I couldn't believe it. They were so a face cloth, a pair of socks.
Yeah. I
That
saw
was amazing. Oy.
And it's stuff one doesn't think of. But I mean, if you're lucky enough to have shoes, and it's cold there in winter, no socks, one wouldn't think that a pair of socks could be such a happy making event, you know.
I'm telling you, we laughed so much. Even the kids, the adults, everyone got socks, and they went ballistic over these socks. Usually we don't get socks. Yes, we get one or two used pairs. And usually, you know, you have to mend them somewhere or whatever. But these socks were new, and they went crazy over these socks. I couldn't believe it. It was amazing.
So even you, Leigh, who's there every single day, doesn't realize what little things make such a big difference.
That's true, because you're so focused on just getting this one fed, that one, you know, to the clinic. This needs to be done. I need to think, what are we going to make for supper to feed everybody? Will we have enough for tomorrow? We've got to attend to this and attend to that. So yes, you do have little things that slip, you know, your mind. But then things like that happen with the socks, and you say, oh, socks are an awesome gift.
Yeah, it upset me desperately because we were offered all the Walmart end of season things that they couldn't sell. You have to cut the labels off, and we were offered we could have them free of charge, take them and send them to South Africa, but we couldn't do it. So that just stressed me terribly, because that would have been new clothes and underwear and socks and shoes and pajamas and all the things that you can't do.
They wouldn't allow us to take that because
I know.
It's not secondhand.
I know.
Even if we do get secondhand, we have to pay the import taxes. The new clothes we would never have seen. They would sew new labels on, and you would see it in some boutique somewhere.
No, I know, Leigh. We were so lucky to get the offer, but it broke my heart.
Yeah.
You have to tell them, look, thank you very much, but there's no way that South Africa will let me do this. So it broke my heart, because all those little things would have been taken care of, you know, including new, clean underwear. But we couldn't do it, so we couldn't do it. You know, say sorry and move on, you know. But toothbrush, toothpaste, silly things that we all, every one of us, no matter how wary of the problem, we all take it for granted.
A face cloth, Vaseline, you know, simple type of Vaseline, because or lip ice, you know, the Vaseline for skin and lips. Or the children in the camps, when I was there last week, Wednesday at Bounceville, all the children's lips and skin were raw from the wind, because there's so much cold wind coming down from that hill into those shacks, and in between the shacks, that all the children's skins were like rough and burst open, and their lips were cracked. And I thought to myself, oh, I could have kicked myself. Why didn't I think of getting these kids some aqueous cream or Vaseline? But you're not always on top of everything. You know, it's difficult. What do you choose, food or getting cream?
Yeah, Leigh, I understand exactly how. Well, I don't. I'm not there. I haven't seen it. I haven't looked into those faces. I try and have a picture for myself of what it's like. But I don't think the picture I paint for myself can be anything like the reality. And I really wish that I personally could do more to help. But, you know.
But you have, and many of you have. Mel, your followers have. Karin, you've gone beyond and back and back again to help us in South Africa. Really, you've got such a kind and good heart, and you are never ending in fighting for us here. And we appreciate you so, so much, because it's not I that have fed these people. It's you guys that are willing to talk about it and share it with the rest of the world, that are sending us the much needed food and the building materials to carry on with this project, and the will to carry on fighting. How many times have you said to me, come on, girl, you're strong enough, you can get there, get up, carry on. You've done it so many times when we are on our knees. So many, many times. You guys, both of you, Mel and Karin, you have no idea how much you all mean to us.
A message from the producer here. What is the quickest way for people to help you? What steps do people take? There are obstacles, but how do people get around those to keep helping you? Can you tell people? Maybe someone that hears this will help.
You can either try and bring some goods. If you know of anybody traveling to South Africa that's willing to bring in this extra suitcase, whether it be food, whether it be socks or toothpaste, or a few blankets. If you know of somebody traveling to South Africa, send it with. If not, they can go onto our website, www.safrpsa.org. Go and click on the donate button, and you can donate via PayPal. $20 can feed a family of 4 for a week. A week. That is proper food in 4 people's tummies every single day for a week. Don't think because you have a $5 or a $10 that it's not worth anything. It means the absolute world to us, and to every single old person and little child and pregnant woman and desperate father. It means so much to us.
You can also go to my website, which is radiofreesouthafrica.com, and you can donate there. You just have to put a little note on it. It's for South Africans, and it goes directly to Leigh. So you can donate.
That I can guarantee. Karin sends when nobody else is helping. I know that I can always contact Karin and say, Karin, please, I need help. And she makes sure that we get the funds. I know, Karin, you are also looking after 4 families in
5.
Okay,
Yeah.
it's 5 now. 5 families now. South Africans that are desperately in need of your help as well. And we are so thankful for you, Karin, looking after them. I know it's 5 families is a lot.
Yeah. It's
you need your support as well.
26 people in those families.
Oh.
So,
Sure.
yeah, it's a bit of a nightmare, but the thing is they're out there safe. They're out of South Africa. They're safe in the United States. What we have to do is just take care of them until they get their hearing and get their green cards and a social security number. The problem is there's such a backlog here that it can take a long time. But
we are still rooting for them because they are opening the way for many, many families that are still in South Africa.
Absolutely. The more people that we can get that get a yes on asylum status, yeah, the more the courts become aware of the problem, the more open they are to more people coming. So yes,
That's why I agree. I say that the support, yes, we do also need support, but they are paving the way for so many of us in being able to leave eventually. And hopefully it will bring us closer to either having refugee status or I don't know what else there is.
I don't know either, Leigh, but yes, I'm firmly behind these families because, as I say, as you say, they are paving the way for others to come. And the more stories that the courts hear and are sympathetic to from South African asylees, the more open they are to hearing more
and
of them.
the more evidence they get to see.
Yes.
Because each family brings their own evidence and their own experiences to the table, and yeah, hopefully it will open some doors.
We have an absolutely wonderful lawyer, but it's the only one I found in the States, who didn't ask where's South Africa. And the thing with that is you get a lawyer who doesn't know the story. So you're paying them by the hour to educate them about the situation in South Africa. And then when they go to court for you, they've got no conviction behind it because it's only word. This particular lady, she is fabulous. Oh, she is fabulous. She's won 4 cases in the last 2 years for South Africans.
Oh, wow.
She is incredible. And she gives a discounted rate through me for South Africans because she feels it in her heart for us. And she is fabulous. She really is. So I'm rooting for these families and for her because it's not really up. The funny thing about this whole thing is it's not up to how strong your case is and it's not up to your lawyer. It's the person in charge of your hearing the day that you go. So they fight with their husband and they're feeling jaded today and they've heard enough sob stories this week. They just say no. If it's a sympathetic person who's having a good day, they say yes. Now, if they say no, then you then go to appeal and you go to court, which can take another 3 years before you get there. But at least in that time, you have got a temporary green card and a temporary social security number. So you are legally here. It's just the stress and the tension of all that waiting time and not knowing if at the end of it, you're going to have to be deported or not. It's a very scary thing. The culture shock of leaving your country is bad enough.
Yeah.
It's all a bit scary. But not knowing if some nameless person is going to send you back there at the end of it must be even more scary. It frightens me.
They've got to decide your fate.
Yeah.
And they decide your fate and they
don't know you. Don't want to know you. Know nothing about your country. Don't study it, but they have the deciding say in it. So it's a very scary process. So not only do I support these people financially, but emotionally and so on. So I put people who have gotten asylum in touch with people who are waiting for asylum so that they can support each other through this whole process and give each other hope. It's a long, slow, very difficult and very, very expensive process. Your lawyer, just up to the hearing, can cost you $10,500. Then if you have to go to a court case and an appeal after that, it'll cost you another $10,000, $15,000. So it's not an easy thing.
I can understand that, and I get so many emails from people across the world that ask us, Leigh, I want to help to get these people out. Okay, fine. It's not that easy. Number one, you have to be permanently employed. You have to show your income for the last freaking 5 years. You have to show that you've got a large amount of savings. You have to be able to prove your place of residence by giving them your utility bill and even your grandma's doopseel. I don't know what you said that in English.
What kind of toilet paper you use.
That's it. So living in a squatter camp, having no employment, and you only have a shack number with no water, no electricity, no ablution, and no fixed income, nobody in their right minds are going to give you a visa.
I know.
None whatsoever.
I know.
Futile in trying to get these folks to even apply for a visa, because you are wasting so much money when you know that they are going to be denied in any case.
Absolutely. No, Leigh, I know.
Only the rich and maybe middle class with some help, like someone like you, Karin, are able to get some of these folks out.
No, Leigh, the rules apply. The rules are the rules. So that is where my problem lies. Otherwise, you would have done long ago. The rules are the rules. And if you don't have those things, they're not going to give you a visa, full stop. So I can't change that. The only thing that would change that is if the UN or Amnesty International give you refugee status.
Correct.
In which case, we can get you here without that visa. But it's an impossible task. And I've got people lined up saying, I've got a farm, I've got property, I've got a job, I've got a housing, just bring the people. Okay, great. Thank you very much for helping. But I can't bring the people. So I don't know, I'll keep you on my list. I'll keep you on my list and call you when the time is right. But for now, thank you for the help, but I don't have the people and I can't give you people. And the number of people who offer to marry a South Africa. It doesn't look like that either.
As well. Yeah, we do get that. And I know that most of the offers are so sincere. People are really willing to take in families with their children and grandma and grandpa in order to try and save them. It's just not possible. We cannot just get into boats and invade like they invade Europe. Unfortunately, that's not how it's not going to work. Firstly, we are white.
Leigh, I have people, I must spend, I don't know, hours and hours a week on the phone with people who would like to help and say, but why don't we try this? And I've tried it all. I've gone down those routes. I've looked at the rules. I've studied the rules.
Adopt the children. They want to adopt the children from America and from Australia. And just because these people are living in poverty doesn't mean that they don't look after their children. Doesn't mean that they don't love their children and adore their babies. It is because of a racist government and a racist system that our families are where they are today.
Yeah. No, Leigh, how many offers have we had? Send the children here. Number one, you cannot. By South African law, you cannot. You cannot.
Nope.
And I think that is pretty much like the Second World War in Britain, where they put their kids with a little tag on their collar, put them on a train and sent them away, never knowing if they'd see them again. That is the absolute last resort for a parent, is to say goodbye to their kids. And, I don't know if you'll ever see mom again. You're not going to do that willingly.
These families have been so uprooted and torn apart in the first place, and many of the parents do feel that they wish they could have their children in better circumstances, but they are so close with each other that they are not willing to part with their children just because of the poverty that they are in. And I don't think it's fair for any mother to have to send or make that sacrifice unwillingly, send their children away. It's a very difficult thing to go through.
Oh, absolutely.
That's if you did it right, because of our government in South Africa. You have to take in black babies first before you are allowed to even consider taking in a white child. There's no more adoption in South Africa. Adoption is out. The state's mandate is that every child should be returned to the biological parents. There's no more adoption. only a private adoption between lawyers and two, the respective couple, and yes, but adoption in ordinary social services, no.
Yeah, Leigh, we're not puppy factories. We
No.
just have the babies and give them away. It's not like that. It's not because you're poor, you don't love your kids. And yes, I've had many, many, many people write me whole tomes of information on why South African parents should do that. It's inhumane. And I don't see very many people willing to do that. I mean, it's even hard to part with your children when they go to university. Send them off to a different country to go to university. Never mind, send your 3-week-old baby off to some stranger in a strange country. No, I know they're trying to help, but it just, they don't see the human thing behind that, I don't think.
No.
It's an impossible situation. I don't see it. But yes, we have had, you and I have had so many strange offers from really useful things to really, really strange things. And you have to be nice to everybody and thank them all nicely because they mean well. But when you've been at this as long as we have, you know what can and can't work. And I think people are very idealistic and think that the world is a good place and that good people will prevail in the end. Whereas I think you and I are a little bit more realistic and realize that good people might come in first in the very, very end. But in the meantime, they're going to stumble and fall a lot.
Yeah, that's true. I think the biggest thing is that we continue to spread the word as you and Mel have been doing. And no matter what happens, keep the cause strong and get the message out there as best as we can. We cannot give up because there are thousands dying every single day, whether it be of ordinary farm murder or a home invasion. We are losing many, many, many people, and we are going to lose many more with the poverty and the land invasions. We are in a hell of a lot of fear. We know that it's just a matter of time, and we can only do the best we can under the circumstances. And try and be positive. We have to look at some positive every day. Otherwise, we are going to just sit and mope and wait for the evil to come to us. We have to try and build until such a time as help arrives, or we can get a solution on what's happening in South Africa.
Yes, well, that's why what you're doing is so importantly, because you're keeping those people alive. You're keeping hope alive. You're giving them a roof over their head, whether it's at the farm or at a camp. At least they have a roof over their head. They have clothes to wear. They have a blanket. Their kids have a chance. And you're keeping hope alive. And I think that is what we have to do until we can find a better solution. Because I have tried every avenue I can think of, and I'm sure there's some I haven't thought of yet, and I can't find a long-term solution yet. But one night I'm going to be lying wide awake, and at midnight this light bulb is going to go off over my head, gazing, and I'm going to have the answer. I'm convinced of it, that light bulb is just going to turn on and the answer is going to be there for me. And I am absolutely sure that's going to happen. So sleepless nights are really a good thing.
Ladies, we are heading towards the end of the show. Just one more time, could you just pop off your media mentions to our audience so that people know how to get in touch with you if they can help? Karin, if you wouldn't mind going first.
Mine is radiofreesouthafrica.com or Radio Free South Africa on Facebook.
Okay, lovely. And Leigh, could you give us your details again, please?
I'll do it for you, Leigh.
Okay. Thank you.
S for sugar, A, F for Freddy, R, P for Peter, S for Sugar, A.org. South African Family Relief Project, SA.org. And you can, there's a gazillion things on there that you can donate to.
Thank you. All right. You know, ladies, as always, when I talk to you, I'm in tears because I'm just, I think, overwhelmed at the tragedy of it all, but also so inspired that there are people who care enough to put themselves out there the way you two have. And it's a real conflict, but I do hope that people out there get reached with this information and are, you know, deeply affected by this, as I am, and feel moved enough to do something. And I'm certainly going to be getting on the phone and trying to see what I can do to rustle up some funding for your project, Leigh. I really appreciate everything that you're doing for our brothers and sisters still stuck on the ground in South Africa. And Karin, I know it's an absolute cosmic gauntlet to go through the legal rigmarole you have to for these families who managed to get out the country, the few lucky ones who had escaped. But the more people who can get refugee status, the more of a precedent it sets. And, you know, perhaps we need to start writing letters to Amnesty International to get recognition of refugee status for South Africa. So... perhaps the three of us can sit down at some time offline and actually work on a document that we can submit and definitely put some pressure on these guys to do something.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mel.
Okay, guys, listen, we're heading towards the end of the show. Going to wrap it up and say a big thank you and, you know, a big love to both of you. You sit so dearly in my heart, and you know, as I sit here, I'm still kicking myself going, I should be doing more. I should be doing more. In fact, everybody should be doing more. You know, generally those people who are comfortable, like, you know, I'm okay, Jack, and they don't think too much more about it. But we really do need to be thinking about our brothers and sisters in the world, because who knows, next it could be us. And if we're not helping others, you know, we can't expect anybody to help us when times get hard. So think about that for the people who are listening, and, you know, whatever we can do to help, get in touch with us as well. For those people who perhaps are overseas, we actually do have a donate button on Conscious Consumer Network. If you do say to us it's for the South African Relief Project or for Radio Free South Africa, we will make sure that the money gets there. If you can't actually send belongings, and I don't suggest anything from overseas, as Leigh has mentioned, there is huge import duties which they can't afford to pay, so it's a bit of a waste doing it that way. But any way that you can help, get in touch, brainstorm with us, and guaranteed we'll find a practical way to turn that into a deliverable solution. So we're here to help in any way we can.
Thank you very much, Mel, and thank you for listening. Next week, we will have part 2 of our South African history.
Looking forward to it. Absolutely. Thank you very much to Leigh and Karin for joining us this evening, and we'll see you all again on Stop South African Genocide. Please tune in next week this time. It's been great. Take care.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
If we want to change the world, we must first change the media. Mainstream media exists for the purposes of indoctrination and manipulation of public perception. The world of free and independent media is growing, and with the upsurge in information now available in the public domain, it has never been easier to access free and independent media. The exploration of this information resulted in an experimental project which would provide a fully supported space for researchers, whistleblowers, and seekers of all kinds to express themselves and educate the world. On the 1st of January 2015, Conscious Consumer Network was launched to the world. Nobody thought we would make it this far, but CCN is the longest running free and independent media network of its kind. CCN is a unique collaboration of hearts and souls, bringing you information from different perspectives to educate and inform. Since we started CCN, we have had only one desire: the pursuit of a free, fair, just, sustainable world, and this has not changed. Having overcome many challenges over the last 2 years, CCN is here to stay, and we've got great things lined up for 2017. Help keep CCN on the air by supporting the 2017 Network Support Fund.